Hello, and welcome back to our daily encouragement channel. My name is Lewis, and what we do here on this channel is to find a verse or two to kind of help you and encourage you through your day, trying to do the best we can to provide you with some of the same encouragement that I use to get through my day. By no means am I perfect, by no means do I have all the answers, but I have the book that has all the answers, and so hopefully this will be an encouragement to you. Today we're going to go in the Old Testament. I don't do a lot of Old Testament, probably to my detriment. I should probably do more, but I want to try to be an encouragement and tell you that even in the Old Testament, there are verses, or stories, illustrations that can be an encouragement to you, and that's what we're going to do today. We're actually going to go out of Joshua chapter 1. Now, it's going to actually be three verses. The third verse obviously will be one that's very well known, and we'll call it Christian circles. But I want to actually start in verse 6. Our verses for today are actually Joshua 1 6 through 8. Verse 6 says, "Be strong and of a good courage, for unto you this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land, which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success." Now, one of the things I want to get out of the way right now is when we look in the Old Testament, there are sometimes principles that are taught that we can learn from and apply to our current lives and use it to avoid some of the downfalls of today's living. Why do I say it that way? The Christian today doesn't live where it says, "This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein." See, this might be taken to mean that people think I'm saying you have to live by the Old Testament law. Verse 7 said that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. I'm not trying to teach Old Testament law. I'm not trying to pull out the old sacrifice system. I'm not trying to pull out the understanding of the law. But if you look at each of the commandments of the Old Testament, there are, let's just say, the 10 commandments. There are 10 effective principles to how to live the Christian life. Thou shalt have no other God before me. God still wants that kind of commitment to him. When he says, don't kill, don't covet, don't, all these different principles that are caught up. And of course, since I'm recording, my mind just went blank. In case you're wondering, yes, I did have a momentary blankness on all of the commandments. But when you sit there and he says, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me," that's still true today. Don't make any graven images. There are principles behind that. When what is it that you find that takes up your time, that prevents you from serving God, from loving God, from communicating with God? What is it that takes your attention, your time? What are those things? Because that's what this graven image, that's a principle we can apply. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. I've told friends that this verse doesn't just mean cursing. It means not respecting the name of God. And maybe, again, 10 Commandments will be a series that we can go through. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Now, it's not telling us to remember Saturday, but it's taking a day, and it tells us later on in that passage that in 6 days God made heaven and the earth and the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. The importance of taking that day of rest and using a day where you give it to God to allow yourself to rest. Honor thy father and thy mother. Honoring your parents, still a good principle. Don't kill, don't commit adultery, don't steal, don't bear false witness, don't covet. Those are all principles that we can use today. And so when it sits there and tells us about the law, it's not saying that we've got to go back to the old system. Maybe I'm just chasing a rabbit here on this one, but I want to make sure we understand what I'm trying to tell you here. The principle. Let's go back to the verse. Joshua 1:6. Be strong and of a good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Now, what has just happened to the children of Israel? Well, if you know the way the Bible's written, the way the story is told, so to speak, Moses just died after leading the people up to the promised land. They just got there. It tells us, now after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses, from the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea toward the going down of the sun shall be your coast. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. So God makes a promise to Joshua and says, hey, look, there's the land. Go get it, and understand, I made you the promise. And just like I was with Moses, I'm going to be with you. And then after he tells you that, what's the next thing he says? Be strong and of a good courage. For unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Hey, Joshua, come on, be strong, be of good courage. You've made it to the land. You've gotten here. You're going to be dividing up the land which I promised to the ancestors of all these people in front here. And then it says, only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. And then the key part here, don't look to the left or to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. Do you realize that the times that you struggle the most are the times we stray away from God? It's just what I've seen. I'm 46 years old. It's what I've seen in my life. That the times I get discouraged, the times I get downhearted, the times I run out of energy and I'm not serving God, I've strayed to the right or to the left. Here it tells us, you want to be prosperous, don't stray away from the law. If you want to say the 10 principles of the 10 commandments, and say the 10 commandments, but let's make it to its core root statement. Getting away from God. That's the thing that causes you to stumble. That's what causes you to fall. I've given the illustration earlier when I was talking about Hebrews and the race, and the verse says looking unto Jesus, then that should be our focus. That should be the direction in which we run. It's the same thing here. Don't look to the right. Don't look to the left. If you think about driving on a one-lane road, this is the only lane that's on this road. Hopefully it goes one direction, but it's a one-lane road. And what don't you want to do? You don't want to go off to the right. Don't want to go off to the left, because the paved road, the main road, the thing that's set up for you to be on, it's right in front of you. God has a purpose for you, and he gives you the 10 commandments as a guide on how to get through life and how to be prosperous. And what does he tell us in verse 8? This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. And if we keep going, just to put it in there, verse 9, have not I commanded thee, be strong and of a good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. Hallelujah, what an incredible verse that's there. But if you are like me, you easily get sidetracked by the things that come in life that discourage you, that get you downhearted, that bother you. And here we just had 5 verses that just told Joshua about how great his God is. And here's the encouragement for you today. You have that same God. as a Christian today, the God that you serve, the God that you are trusting in to get you to heaven one day, is the same God that Moses trusted in, that Joshua trusted in, that Joshua is being talked to at the time of this passage. That is your encouragement for today. And when you think about how great and wonderful that is, life becomes a little more sweeter. Doesn't mean that there's not difficulties. It doesn't mean that there's not heartaches. It doesn't mean that there's not trouble. But what it does mean is that our God is with us whithersoever we go. And we just need to keep focusing on Him, making sure we meditate on His Word. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate the understanding that you've got other things you could be watching or listening to, and you're taking the time to do me the honor of listening to my speech, video, podcast, whatever you want to call it. So thank you so much. Until the next time, hope that you have a blessed, wonderful day. And just remember, be strong and of a good courage.